Hi, how you doing? My name is Bernard Miller, and in this video I'd like to go over a couple of techniques I use for color enhancement when I'm doing my astro images. So here we have a copy, or a picture rather, of the antenna galaxies, and I got this data from Telescope Live one-click data sets, and I've just put the luminance and the RGB together. So you can see over here the top layer is my luminance, the bottom layer is my RGB, and color's not bad on this, but I think that you can boost the color, especially up in these blues here, some of these H2 regions and these reds in here, and even the color of some of these faint dusk lanes. So I'm going to go over a couple of techniques that I use. I hope you find them useful. So the first one is whenever I have just applied my luminance and set the blending layer to luminosity, I come down to the color layer right here and I make a new layer. So you click and hold, and there's this, if you hover over it, it's the new layer icon down here. It looks like a piece of paper with the bottom left corner folded up. So you click and hold, drag that there, and it creates a new layer. Then I come over to Image, Adjustments, Match Color. And down in the source I select the antenna galaxy. It's the only picture I have open here. And up here in color intensity, I'll just drag this over here to the right, and as I do, you can see, now that's a little too much, but you can definitely see if I click the preview how it enhances the color. And the thing you'll notice if you look at it, it doesn't really add that much noise. I mean, a lot of people just take the saturation and crank it up, but that tends to introduce a lot of noise. Now there is a little bit of noise here, but then I've cranked it up to 197, which I would never do. I usually start out on the color intensity about 125, and then I boost the luminance to about 110. Okay? And if I click the preview, I hope this is coming through, but you can see how it's just boosted the color here. You've got these H2 regions that have been a little brighter. Even these dust lanes, they're a little bit more browns or oranges are coming out. You boosted the red in here. So it just gives yourself a nice boost, and you'll find that it really doesn't add that much noise, if any at all. And then you click OK, and then from here, unless you want to flatten and move on, say you still want to have your luminance and your RGB separate, then you would come up here to Layer, Merge Down. And so now you've got your new RGB here and your luminance here on top. So that's one method that I use. Now one thing that you can do is if you come in here and do what I just did, do Image, Adjustments, Match Color. And let's say you come up here and you boost this thing to 150, and this goes to like 125, and you click OK. And you look at that and you're thinking, ooh, yeah, that's a little bit more than I wanted to. Rather than go back and do the match color, you can come over to the opacity and you can play around with that. So you can, put the opacity about 50% there, and that'll kind of have the same effect. It'll drag it back down so that it's not quite as bad as it was. And when that's good, same thing, layer, merge down, or layer flatten image if you want to move forward with a combined LRGB. So that's one method I use. I find it pretty effective. The other thing that you can do before you merge down is, again, you can hold down the Alt key and click in this little camera icon, and it creates a layer mask. And you want to create the layer mask on this top RGB. Remember, this is this layer here. I guess I should call this luminance. So that's the luminance, and these two are the RGBs. And you want to mask out the one you just did the match color on. And then you can come over to your brush tool and click in the mask, make sure that it's white, then use the open bracket and close bracket. So close bracket on your keyboard will make the brush bigger, and open bracket key will make it smaller. So you make this a little bit smaller, maybe right about there, and then you just paint over the galaxy, and you're going to boost the color in the galaxy. Now you might want to, on this one, come on out and lower this a bit and boost the color in these faint antenna, these star trail regions. Zoom out a little more, and again you can just come down here and boost the color in these regions just a little bit. Now when you click the Alt key and go into your mask, that's your mask. Okay, and you can click, and maybe you missed a few spots. You can make sure everything's all white. Then you hover over the mask, right click. You hover over this mask and you right click, and you get this menu, and you do select and mask. And I tend to come out here and feather this a little bit, about like that. Click OK. Then I can come back here and do layer, merge down. So I've boosted the color in just the galaxy by doing that. So that's another option. It just depends on if you like what it did to your stars. Occasionally I'll boost the color in the galaxy, but the stars are already fairly colorful, and it just makes the stars a little bit more than I want. So this is a way to just boost the color in the galaxy. So that's one way I do it, using match color. Another way to boost your color is to, let me get back here, is the same thing. You duplicate the layer, your color layer, your RGB layer here. So we were here, we've put the luminance on top of the RGB, changed the luminance layer to luminosity. Now we want to boost the color here, so you again highlight the RGB, make a copy, and then come over to Image, Adjustments, Vibrance. And for vibrance, I usually maybe boost the saturation just a bit, about 10%, and then you take this vibrance and you can, I'm exaggerating, but you can see what that does. The color really starts to pop. Hopefully this is coming through. You can see the difference that it can make. So again, I usually, I just eyeball it, do it by taste. Maybe about there, that's 35. So somewhere around there, and click OK. And then again, if you blink this, you can see that these H2 regions right in here, and the dust lanes, and this red region in here, have all been boosted just enough to make that galaxy pop just a little bit. But again, you want to be careful, and if you always overdo it, you can come up to the opacity slider and adjust that, and then you come up to layer and merge down. And that's it. Those are a couple techniques I use to boost color in my image. It'll work just as well on nebula as it does on galaxies, and I hope you find this useful. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot.